Hi, so I have this video here. I'm going to just go through some of the changes for different types of settings and things that I would like to see implemented into Wilds for the full game release. And these are things that I haven't really seen anyone else talk about. But then again, I've been focusing on trying to make videos, so I haven't been watching as many videos as I maybe normally would. So if someone else has talked about this, then, I apologize for misleading you in the title, but I think a lot of these things people are not mentioning, / maybe they don't care to mention because it's not that big of a thing. And I'll let you know if there's certain things on here that I know are more popular than others. So let's start. First clip I have here, it's some Sword and Shield footage, but you don't have to worry about that really. We can skip ahead here a little bit, because what I'm really trying to show off is, so after I was fighting them, I was trying to leave, and I believe I was going back to camp. And so when I do that, over here I'm going to pull up the map in a second, and when you see the map, take note of the orientation that I have the map in. So right now the map has the base camp over here in the bottom right. Now normally, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I opened up the map during the demo, the base camp generally was in the top, what is it, left? Top left. It used to be like up here. But for whatever reason, this is the only time it happened to me too, so it's a little weird. But it showed up with this orientation. And it doesn't even make sense because my character is facing this way, so I thought, maybe it was because my character was, in that orientation when I opened up the map, but no, it's facing this way. If that was the case, then the map would be turned, with my character's direction facing upwards. So I don't know why it's in this direction. Maybe that's the direction I had it in last when I was looking at something on the map. But I think one thing, and I wasn't able to find this in any of the settings, but then again, a lot of the settings are very detailed and complex, so if any of these things are in the settings, let me know. But I could have just missed them, and I wasn't able to figure out how to do it. Some of these are in the settings. Some of these future ones that I'm going to talk about are in the settings, and I feel like they're not working properly. But this one, I literally just could not find an option to edit anything to do with this sort of half-screen map that you can have pop up. So that's one thing, is a setting to either have it stay locked upright, north, south, east, west, all in the same direction every time. That's a little more similar to how it would appear when you open it up in full screen, the detailed map, right there. A setting to have this half map be able to stay locked in place like that, and then also a setting to have it open up to your character's orientation where you're angled, and also rotate along with your character like the mini-map does. If you see the mini-map there, it rotates along. There's a setting for that, for the mini-map, but I didn't find one for this sort of half opened map. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing is here. It's also map related. So if you notice, I believe I'm also trying to go to camp in this one. So if you notice when I open the map, there it is. The camp is in that orientation that I originally talked about. And I believe my character is facing this way. So yeah, it's not a situation where my character happened to be facing upward. This time the map did open up that way. So I think, yeah, for the last thing, I just happened to look at the map earlier and leave it in that orientation, and it stayed facing whatever angle that was. So yeah, but for this one specifically, I wanted to show off. Watch what the map does while I'm running. The second I open it up, ready? the second I open it up, look at the cursor, just rushes forward. And the reason it does that is because I'm using the alternative sacred controls, which instead of holding, I'm using PlayStation, so instead of holding R1 to sort of speed, or instead of using auto sacred, I was using manual controls, which has you control your sacred by tilting forward on the left stick. And when you do that, you know, whenever you let go of the left stick, your sacred stops moving. But because of that, you have to hold on the left stick if you're not using any sort of auto running or whatever. And so because of that, you're always holding forward on the stick, and then when you choose to open the map while still walking on sacred, it does this to your cursor. It automatically just shoots it forward, and you see I have to stop right after that because I realized what's happening, and then I can't move forward on sacred anymore, at least at the same pace I was doing without like setting it to auto run or whatever. So yeah, that's the second map related thing that I would want a setting for, which is to sort of see, I don't even know how you would implement that because it does use the cursor. Maybe just have a option to you know, a button you can toggle to activate the left stick's control over the cursor. So, because really in this case, I think I was trying to go back to camp, but let's say I was just trying to open the map and see a better view of the map, because the mini-map, even when you press L to make it bigger, you can't get a full glimpse of the idea of the landscape. So you have to open this one to get a good idea of where you're going, where you want to go, maybe where the monster is if it's not visible on the mini-map. So a lot of times you want to just open this map and just get a quick glimpse at it and then turn it back off. But that's really tricky when something like that happens. Just slightly annoying. So if there's maybe like a button toggle you can have for when this map is opened, that you can keep it toggled off, which will allow you to keep control over your sacred, or if you were just walking as a hunter, keep control over that while not having it affect the map cursor. And let's say you press a button to, or maybe click in one of the sticks or something, and you can toggle the control of the left stick to be the map cursor if you wanted to hover over something specifically. Then in that case you would stop and have control over the map instead. So that's the second thing. Let's see what's next. Okay, here we go. So this one is camera related. With this setting, what I'm trying to do here is get my character to be in the center of the screen. And this one is honestly, I can almost guarantee nobody's talking about this because this is very specific to something that I like to do. I like to push my character up against walls and get a good view of them. Just to you spend so much time creating a character. I didn't for the beta, but you spend so much time creating a character, you want to be able to look at them sometimes. Whether that's for just like taking a break, or just to look at them, you make such a good character creator. You want to be able to enjoy that character, and that was one of the things it's probably my biggest issue with Rise, ironically, is the fact that you can't zoom in the camera enough to get a good look at your character. And that's the reason I like playing in more zoomed in mode. I don't know if you can tell, but let's go all the way back. If you can see when I'm on foot, see how zoomed in my camera is. I like playing more zoomed in. I know a lot of people like playing zoomed out, but I like playing zoomed in because you get to see your character. You can kind of see it on the side here. But then the closer I get to the wall, it's hard to get the character in the center of the screen. So Rise didn't let you even get close to the character at all. and I didn't really like that very much. This game at least lets you get closer to the character, but when you try and push it a little further, let's skip to the end here. I go up to this wall over here to try and get a good view, because this is a more wide open area, so I thought it would be possible, but no, look, your character just gets pushed to the side like that. Like, no matter what angle you try and get it at, your character just goes off screen like that so that you can see the direction your camera is facing and the surrounding area better. But I want to be able to see the character. I don't know if you've got to make a toggle setting for that or not, but I do think something is a little broken with this because I tried to fix it in the settings. And you see how the camera distance pan is all the way to 1? I imagine that's the reason that the character is on the left-hand side of the screen like that every time you're moving. And so I thought maybe that's why the character was getting pushed off to the side like that, because I'm panned all the way to the left of the camera. So obviously when you get closer, it's going to zoom it in and push you further to the left. But let's play this out. I try and adjust it, and let's see where I do it. There it is. So I tried to adjust the camera distance pan, and I said, oh, maybe we can push to the center, but all that does is push my character even further to the to the left. So it seems like the default camera is off to the left, your character is off to the left, and then no matter how far you go, it just pushes it even further to the left. I thought that this camera distance pan was going to be, I was at 1 by default, it was going to be on the left, and then when you push it over to 5, you'd be in the center. Push it to 10, you can have your character on the right side of the screen if you wanted. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. And the other thing I tested here was I thought maybe my character wasn't able to be in the center because the zoom was too zoomed in. And so maybe that was messing with it, but I tested it out here. I zoomed it out all the way. I walked up to the thing, and nope, still pushed off to the side like that. So yeah, that's maybe, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it does seem like it might be unintentional because camera distance pan 1 being so far to the left makes sense. But I don't see why you would want them even further to the left, and especially like, let's see, when I go to 10, I think it's here, there you go. So I zoomed to 10, your character is basically off the screen almost. Like if you had looked over to the right, your character would probably just like be clipping in and out of the bounds of the camera, and I don't know why you would ever want that. So that doesn't seem like it's intentional. So yeah, maybe that's something that could also be fixed. But also, yes, definitely make it so that I can get a nice close-up on my character. This is sort of, the end of this clip is like the nicest angle that I was able to find, which is where you push against something that's not a wall, so it doesn't move your camera out of the way. And so like over there, if I was able to walk there, there you go. That's sort of the best view of my character I was able to get. And like, I didn't even customize this character, and I still wanted to look at the character. So can you imagine when I make my own character that I've put like, I'm gonna put like 10 hours into it, and then I won't be able to view it nicely. That's gonna suck. So I want to be able to view my character really nicely. I know there's probably camera modes and whatnot, but sometimes you just want like a quick glance at your character. So yeah, that's that. Let's see what's next. Okay. Here, let's go to the clip. Here we go. I'm fighting, this one might take a little bit of pre-explanation. So I'm fighting a Chotacabra here. And this is, I'm just exploring out in the open, having fun. And so I'm fighting this Chotacabra just for fun, really, to try and test out Insectglaive and get a good feel for it. And so it begins the quest automatically. Now that's a really cool addition, right? You can just begin quests and get the rewards for them while you're out in the open, because I know a lot of the other games there's less of a reason to hunt monsters because you wouldn't get the full like rewards of a quest. So it'd be, more optimal to go back to camp, start a quest for the monster you're trying to hunt, and then go out and do it. So like the monsters aside from your target monster were always a little, they always felt a little like you don't really need to fight them. But this is cool because it lets you do that. Now the only issue that I have with it is I was just using this Chotacabra to test out Insuclave. So when I went and switched my weapon over to Lance, which is my main, and then I wanted to fight Raydao, if you look over there in the corner, I still have the Chotacabra timer going on because I started the quest earlier. Now as far as I know, there's no way to cancel that quest without returning to camp. And so it feels a little stiff, is probably the best word I can put it, because if you have to go back to camp to cancel that quest so you can then start fighting something else, then it's a little bit of an issue. And I don't know if this is the case or not, where you have to do enough damage to override the quest, maybe. But if you look here, my sharpness is already almost at orange. Like it's at yellow approaching orange. So I've been fighting this Raydao for a while and I still haven't gotten a quest for it. But see, the real issue is because of that, eventually we time out on the Chotacabra and then we're just completely interrupted on our Raydao quest. We were like in the groove here. Like the fact that I haven't sharpened this means that I was actively in the groove fighting this Raydao, and we just get interrupted. I think I got on my Sacred there to go and sharpen for the first time, and then we timed out on the quest because of the Chotacabra. And so then we got sent back to camp, and then the real issue is also here. When I then go look at the map and find the Raydao, I see this, and I have no idea what this means. Is this the same Raydao I was fighting, or did it refresh? Because I got sent back to camp. There's a loading screen in between. So I don't know. Is that the Raydao I fought? And I believe this was my first time hunting Raydao too. So my first Raydao kill, I don't even know if it was I don't know how well I did, because I don't know if I was starting again from new or if I was continuing on the same Raydao's health pool. And there's no real easy way to see that. But ideally, instead of making a way for you to see the health, actually you should probably do both of these things. Have a way for you to see, is this the monster you were fighting? Maybe there is, maybe this icon here, maybe that's what that means, that I was fighting it, or I don't know, something. But actually, what is that? No, that just means there's an update. The environment, that's this icon. So that doesn't necessarily mean that. So maybe that's one thing. One way to track, is that what paintballs? I remember seeing something about paintballs. Maybe that's you can track the monster and you'll know that that's the one you were fighting. So maybe that is in the game, but the more important thing is, as far as I know, there's no way to just quick, what's it called? Get rid of a quest, quick abandon a quest without having to be sent back to camp. So I think there should be some setting for that, to just sort of get rid of a quest. Maybe there is, and I just haven't seen it. But yeah, that was a little bit of a hiccup for me. The first Raydao hunt either went really well or really terribly, because if I didn't start over on that HP, then the time I took to kill him after that, I would have done terribly. But yeah, that's it for that one. Let's see. Oh, and kind of related to that is there should also be a setting to quick accept quests. So if you go back here when I'm finding the Chotacabra, some people might like it automatically starting like this when you just choose to fight the monster. But I think there would be, I think it would also be nice to give people the option to maybe there's a pop-up here that says, start quest, hold down, the options button or whatever on PlayStation, or start, or whatever the equivalent other weapon or buttons are. So it makes you do that for other things, like skipping cutscenes, or there's at least like one or two other things that it makes you hold start for. I think like skipping the end quest results, or actually I think it's seeing the end quest results, because normally it gives you a small detailed in here, and then if you hold down the button, it opens up the detailed version of it. I think that's even here in the environment overview. No, never mind. You have to press square for that one. But yeah, so maybe holding a button or pressing... No, probably hold a button is a little more reasonable for in the middle of a hunt, because you don't want to accidentally press something. But yeah, so like give people the option to maybe have it be so that instead of just automatically starting quests, accepting quests, you can get the pop-up for one and hold a button to accept it. I feel like that would be a good thing to add. Okay, so next here... There we go. I got some Lance gameplay. This one, I just wanted to like talk about. This one is one that I know a ton of people are talking. Like pretty much, this might be, aside from performance, one of the most talked about things, and it's the fact that some of the hit lag, or hit, I don't know if that's the correct term, but when the camera sort of like stops for a little bit, every time you get a strong hit or even weak hits, there's sort of like an intensity difference between the stop of the camera, and that lets you know, like, first of all, did your attack land? Yes, you'll know based on the hit lag, but also like how strong was your hit, and it just gives a good feeling of like having a nice impactful hit. And now, honestly, after playing the beta, it is a lot better than it looks in the footage, but it still could be a little bit more pronounced. And the move I wanted to show off the best for this is my mount finisher with Lance. And so if I'm on Raydal, if you watch this mount finisher, we'll let it play out once and then we'll do it in slow motion. If you watch the mount finisher, look how much hit lag there is. Literally zero, right? I just go through the monster and it feels... well, it looks so cool. It looks amazing, but it feels kind of underwhelming because you don't have any of that impact when you hit the monster. Let's do it frame by frame. Not a single one of those frames are stopped. See, I'm glad YouTube lets you do frame by frame, because we can see there wasn't even any hit lag there. It just goes straight through the monster. There you go. But what's actually interesting is that specific move I found. It seems a little more impactful when you use it on grounded monsters. You see that? There was a little frame stop there when I hit the when I made contact. Boom. Right there. See, all right, I'm going to tell you every time I press it. Ready? Press, 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 press. You see there's a couple frame stops. The other one, if we go back and analyze that, I'll do the press every time. Ready? Pause it. Press, 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 press. Every single time I press, there's a actually press, 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 press. Yeah, even when you hit the ground, there's it keeps moving the camera, which means that it's not stopping any of those frames to emphasize the hit of the weapon. But over here, it did it, and it feels a lot better here if you watch this footage. So let's watch this one again just to see, like, how did that one feel? Feels great because you dropped the monster out of the sky, but other than that, the impact of the hit did not feel very great. And then if we go back and watch this one, sorry, okay, there we go. Right? That one looks a lot better. This is something that everyone is complaining about, honestly. So, the attacks don't feel as meaty as they should feel. And this is actually connected to the next thing that I'm going to talk about, or at least this footage shows it off, but I'll have better footage to show it in a second. But the next thing I want to talk about is, oh, you know what? I just got a good idea. For the hit lag, there's a lot. Okay, so there's a lot of settings in the settings menu I saw that had sliders to them to adjust the intensity. Like one of them that I can remember is like, how strong does the camera adjust to terrain? And there's a slider for how intense you want that to be. Same thing for like the ambient camera sway. There's a setting for how intense do you want the camera to sway. You can have it do nothing or, you know, a lot. That'd be a good setting. Like that'd be a good thing to have for the hit lag. A little slider so people can adjust the amount of hit lag that they want to have you know, their weapons feel as impactful as they want it to. But obviously don't go overboard with it and make like the max one like just constant, like stopping for a whole second. I don't think they would do that anyway. Everything in this game seems very subtle and sort of nuanced to make it feel immersive. So they wouldn't do that anyway. But yeah, they could add a slider to give people the amount of hit lag that they want on their weapons. Because I know some people probably don't want any hit lag because it can affect things when there gets to be a lot of monsters in a certain area. Like I know it happened to me a lot in Rise. Anytime I'd be in like the lava caverns and a bunch of Ludros came in when I was fighting the monster, trying to get some damage in on the monster with specifically Lance, because I use Lance a lot. Like the leaping thrust does 3 hits in Rise, and so if you hit all the Ludros, they get in your way. And then you're doing 3 hits on a Ludroth, 3 hits on another Ludroth, and then 3 hits on on the actual monster you're trying to fight. And then that's 9 hits going off, and each of them has a tiny bit of like frame. Although actually the leaping thrust isn't as bad. It's actually more prevalent on the Lance, the charge sweep that you have. That one's got a ton because it's a stronger attack, so it lasts. The hit lag lasts a lot longer. And that one messes you up because it actually messes up your rhythm with the Lance too. And a lot of times it messes up the timing. This is a very subtle detail, and it's something that maybe only speedrunners run into, like as being an actual issue, but it actually messes up the timing that you have to use your attacks during a down. I notice like I'm able to get a certain amount of combos off during like my first knockdown. And if there's monsters near me, if there's small monsters getting in the way, taking some of those hits, it actually means that the monster gets up and I'm still not finished with my combo because of like the frame stopping. So that would be a case where maybe some people would hate that and they would want a little bit less, or if not none, of the frame lag, or what's it called, hit lag. Yeah, so that's that. But anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about was if you look at the damage numbers. So if you notice when I do my mount finisher on Ray Dow, you can't see the damage at all from my hit. And they're meaty numbers, so you want to see them. But you can't see the damage at all. And then when I go to Chotacabra and do it here, you can see, boom. It's 100 and 122. That's insane. You want to be able to see that damage. 25, 100, 122. And so that's another thing that makes doing this mount finisher on Ray Dow feel a little underwhelming, is you can't see it. And this actually might only be an issue for me because I'm so zoomed in. I like to play zoomed in, so I imagine if I was zoomed out, you'd probably be able to see those numbers. But I don't think that's something that people should have to compromise on. If they want to play zoomed in, because first of all, look, the camera adjusts a certain amount. This is not my zoomed out camera. This is still my zoomed in camera, and it adjusts because Ray Dow's way over there. So it's not like I'm always completely zoomed in. But then again, I couldn't hit Ray Dow from here, so I guess that wouldn't matter. But yeah, that's not something that people should have to sort of sacrifice being able to experience just because they want to play zoomed in. So And then here, I'll show it off better here. This one actually is in my Lance video that I made. I think it might be towards the end here. There it is. So I'm doing some hits on the Lance to try and test out damage numbers. And you can't even see the hit. Like, I'm on the screen, you can see where my Lance is making contact with Radau, and you can't even see the number that the hit is registering. And you can see where it is here when the camera moves, it's off from the side, and it comes into frame there. So the other hits were off of the camera, and they were registering and probably showing, but they were off of the camera. And that's another thing that's really bad, because then it's really hard to see, especially when you combine it with the sort of suboptimal amounts of hit lag every time you make contact with your weapon. Then it becomes an issue, because I sometimes don't even know, are my hits landing? Like, sometimes it'll sound like it hits, but I don't see any damage numbers. He doesn't flinch or anything, so I don't know if my hits are landing sometimes because of that. So another thing you could probably add in is the ability to make sure the damage numbers always appear on the screen, regardless of, if the part that you hit has moved out of the way or not. Because, like, I can tell, if you look at the other, like, even there, that first hit didn't have a number on it. So, like, where was that hit? I know it landed, because I'm pushed right up against that wing. It's literally clipping through the wing there, but there's no number. That one there, right, has a number. So there might be a little work they got to do with making the numbers appear on the parts that they're hitting. But even then, there should still be a setting to, if we go back to where I did the mount finisher, even if the numbers were on the part that it hit, the camera moves out of the way so fast that you wouldn't be able to see it. So there should also be an option, or maybe just by default, like if your camera moves out of the way of the part that got the damage on it, maybe an option, because I imagine some people would want to see it on the part to verify that they hit the part. But one thing, so an option, like if your camera moves out of the way of where the damage number is, it's sort of like, I can, let's try and show this off with my mouse. Let's say that let's say the damage numbers were right here. Actually, I think you can see them for a split second. No, you can't. That's just the wound. Okay. Let's say the damage numbers appeared right here, and they're going way up there off the camera. There should be a setting to sort of have the numbers follow your camera where it's showing, and just stay on the top of the screen like this, and just get pushed down with your camera, and then they would show up here. And then maybe after the part comes back on screen, it can sort of like stay around where that is. So it'd be something sort of like, let's try and do this in slow motion. It'd be like I don't know how easy this is to implement, by the way. This could be like terribly annoying to implement, so it's not the biggest of deals, but if you want to have like the prime experience with having damage numbers, you should be able to see those damage numbers. It would be something kind of like this, where it's like the numbers are here, but your camera has moved further off than where he is, right? But let's say he's still here, so the numbers sort of track in the closest spot between you and where the hit originated, while still staying on your screen. Let's say like I moved all the way this way, then those numbers would be like maybe over here, because I'd be over here. So his part that we just hit would be here, so they'd be like pushed up against this edge of my camera. It could be something like that. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, this one is very minor. I actually want to go a lot more into detail about this in a different video. You know, if they bring back another open beta where you have a little more time to create characters and play the game and stuff. Because this one, you know, there's only so many days. I didn't want to spend like 1 or 2 of those days trying to create my character when I could be playing. But one thing I did have an issue with, actually these next 2 are sort of limited to the character. But the first one is the voice types. There's only 6 of them, and I feel like that's not a lot. And this one I understand if they do add more, it's probably going to be locked behind a paywall, because it does, you know, even though they're using this voice pitch modulator to sort of give you more of a range of options with those voices, you do still have to hire a voice actor to say all the lines for the entire game. And so at this point it's just not viable to do that for all the different languages. So this is not something that would get put in the full release, but I would like the option to have more voices. I imagine maybe whatever the expansion is will have more options just by default by buying the expansion, but I think even outside of that, you'd probably have to make it, you know, paid DLC. And that's sort of just a concession we'll have to make, right? Because it is an expensive process. But I think at least double the amount of options we have right now, because as it is right now, we have 3 masculine voices and 3 feminine voices. And honestly, the first 2 feminine voices, option 2 and 4, kind of have the same vibe to them. So it still feels very limited. It feels even more limited because of that. Yeah, so I'd want at least double. If not triple, like triple would be great, but you know, we have 6 now, 12 is okay. 18 would be perfect. And make sure they're they have variety to them, because I feel like 2 and 4 sound like the same person doing a different recording. 6 sounds a bit different. I didn't spend too much time looking at the guy voices, so because I'm using a girl character here, but yeah, that's one thing. And then this last thing, which I did not realize is half of this video that this half of the footage that I've made is just on this last thing. And this might get me into a little bit of trouble, but the last thing I want to talk about is let's see if I can let it speak for itself. How long does this clip last? Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can see on screen there, but there's some bouncing, right? And I can almost guarantee no one's talking about this, because, like, why would anyone risk their channel to focus so long on this? I could do it because I'm just made this channel, so if anything bad happens, well, I'll deal with it. But for someone else to spend so much time talking about this might be a little bit risky. I'm not even monetized, so at the risk of demonetizing my non-monetized channel, let's talk about the Jiggle Physics. So clearly, the only reason I'm talking about this, first of all, like, I don't even care that much, because, you know, I played a lot of Rise. They don't move at all in Rise, and I was fine with that. But since they added it, look, they clearly added a good amount of movement there. And I double checked when I first saw this. I was astonished. I thought, oh, you know what? There's no way they'd put that, right? Maybe it's just the clothing. Maybe it's just like some loose, flowy clothing. So I went and checked the guy model, and it did not move at all. So clearly it's there. And not even that. I know the devs are putting a lot of care into this too. because if you go into this one, right? So this one's more of a loose clothing, jiggles a lot, right? This is tight clothing, and at first, when I first tested this out, because, you know, obviously I'm going to test it out, I thought like, oh, maybe certain clothings jiggle, certain ones don't, because like this one's jiggling a lot. This one looks like it doesn't, jiggle at all, really. But then, when I looked back at the footage, and I'll slow this down in this next clip, just to show it off, it made me realize just how much detail they put in. I'm gonna zoom in. So, by the way, the reason there's so much of this footage here is because for this section, I'm going to be zooming in and slow-moing, because I think it'll be a lot easier to sort of prove my point. I haven't even started mentioning what the issue is, but there's a slight issue. It really doesn't matter if they add it or not, but, you know, if I'm the reason that they see this and put it in, then, well, I'll take the credit for that. So I thought they weren't moving, but if you look closely, you can see that they do have a slight amount of bounce to them. And now you might not be able to see it in this footage, so I'm going to zoom it in. Well, first of all, compare, see how much different that is versus the more like compression version. It's a massive difference, right? So they're putting a lot of effort. And so first I thought it was just this clothing, right? So I was like, you know what, they like put a little bit of effort into it. But then when I saw this, I'm going to skip ahead to find it. Now when you zoom in and look at it, you can see a lot of jiggle, right? But then when you go to this one, I thought it was 0 before. You look at it closely. Wait, try and get a good angle. Look at that. They're moving. Do you see that? You can see them. We'll do frame by frame, look. See that? That's how much detail they put into these. They put that amount of detail to know that it's compression, so it's not going to jiggle like a lot, but it's not going to not move at all. So if they're putting that much amount of detail into it, then now I have an issue, because I tested. Don't ask why I tested it, but I tested it out and got a little more. I mean, obviously, I'm going to test it, right? Got to fully see the extent of the care, the hard work that they put in. So anyway, I wanted to see like the full extent of how much it moves, and when I did that, instantly I noticed it barely bounces at all up and down. If you go back to the character creator, massive side-to-side movement, right? But when we're walking here, it's barely moving up and down at all. It's moving side to side a little bit but that's kind of like because her whole torso is moving. But up and down, it's like stiff as a rock, honestly. And so now it feels kind of weird for them to put all that effort in, but not add that. And I tried out, you know, like different scenarios. This is what like the rest of the footage is just different scenarios to try and get the up and down jiggles to happen. The up and down. God. And yeah, so I tried some running, you know, like you can see it's moving side to side quite a bit. I'll try and zoom in to show it better after every clip I show. And it's like, you can see, if we go frame by frame here, you can see like there is bouncing. It's like mostly side to side. Like a majority of that movement, look at that. Well, actually she's mostly moving her shoulders, so it all moves with it. But look, there you go. You can see like on its own it's moving a tiny bit. We'll just let it play out. Here especially, right? Oh, and then this next clip will sort of prove my point even more. But yeah, it's the up and down movement is like virtually non-existent. Even towards the end there, where it looks like it's moving a lot, but actually that might just be the torso moving as a whole. Let's see when I start running towards the end. There it is. Okay. If we frame by frame... Oh, no. It's moving a ton. Yeah, look at that. Not really, actually. It's not as much as I thought. Oh, actually. Kind of. Most of it is the torso moving, but... But yeah, if you look at it in motion, you can see it's like mostly side-to-side movement, not a lot of up and down, really. And what's going to prove my point even more is, like, I know we've been focusing there, but look at the other things that move on her, right? I'm going to focus it here. Look at the mask. Look at how the mask moves during that same clip. Look at all the up and down movement that it's got. Look, especially when I stop running and when I'm running at higher speeds. Wait, is this a mask or is this goggles? I think it's a mask, right? Yeah. The mask is... It's lighter, so obviously it's going to move more when you're running. And it's also not like, you know, even though this is loose clothing, it is still compressing it a little bit. So it's not going to move as much as the mask. But for them to put that much vertical, you know, mask jiggle physics, and to not have that same, like the mask going side to side, up and down, everything. But over here, it's only really going side to side, I feel. Now I get they don't want to overdo it because that can run into a lot of issues with the armor and clipping and stuff like that. But the fact that they added it side to side means they should be able to do up and down as well, to the same extent. And I actually do appreciate that it's a little more toned down, because you obviously don't want this to be like, you don't want it to feel like it's sort of a sexual game. You want it to feel natural, which is probably why they didn't put it at all in the first place. But then again, maybe it's also just because it's hard to implement. But since they did add it, you know, if you're going to add it, might as well go all out. And these next clips are just really just going to further horn in. Why did... It's because of the palico. The palico is always like, oh, there's another monster horn in it. I started using... It's such a weird phrase. Okay. It's going to further emphasize my point. Here we go. This is just a different clip. We can probably just let this one play out. I really want you to focus on just the difference between the mask and like the hair bobbing up and down versus the this part, you know. Yeah, see, like, pretty much, oh, here's a good one. This one you can see, this couple of frames, you can see the side-to-side movement quite a bit. I think it's like when I stop here. There it is. See, like it's like the force of the body and the steps are going up and down, but like the movement, you can see it there, is going a little more side to side, which means that they've only really implemented the side to side movement and not the up and down. Let's watch in full motion, you can kind of see it better. See that? She's really going at it, like walking up and down pretty hard, but like it's only going side to side, which normally is not an issue, but since they've added the side to side, might as well add the up and down. Here we go. Further stress testing this. I figured out it moves a lot more when you run, when you're holding the run button. So if you just start and... How I figured this out, okay. I spent a good 30 minutes looking at this, honestly. But I figured out that it moves a lot more when you're holding the run button and starting and stopping really, really quickly. And you can see it in the mask. The mask moves a ton. But even in the chest region, there is more movement compared to the previous clips in which I was just holding the walk slash, fast walk type of buttons. Here we go. Zoomed in. There you go. You can really see it jiggle there. The side to side only though, you see? There we go. Oh, that's the end of the motion, so then... There, when she's recovering... Look at that. You gotta watch it in full motion, it just makes more sense. It's kind of hard to keep track of frame by frame, actually. You see it? Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of side to side and 0 up and down. Well, actually, I don't know about 0 up and down, but it's not enough that it feels natural. There should be more up and down emphasis, I feel. I don't know. It does look like it's... No, see, it's actually not going up and down. That's just the character's entire torso going up and down, and so it makes it look like it's bouncing up and down, but it's really just bouncing side to side when the torso is going up and down, and then it makes it look like it has some up and down motion. But by themselves, I don't think they're moving up and down. Yeah, you can see the primary motion is side to side, and the up and down does seem to just be like connected to the torso. So yeah, and then here, this next one will just throw a nail in the coffin. I'm on Sacred. Sacred rides like a horse, you know. There's gonna be a lot of bouncing. Look at the mask. Look how up and down that mask goes. I'll wait for me to get a better... I eventually like stabilize the camera a little bit better, I think. I'm gonna skip ahead for a little bit. It's somewhere here. Oh yeah, it's like right around here, I think. There we go. Got a good couple of seconds of like bouncing, and you can see like the mask is constantly bouncing for all of that, but nothing in the chest. Now you can see it move a ton side to side whenever she like, yanks the reins over. Oh god, especially there. Okay, let's get a close up on this. You can see the massive amount of side to side movement, but very little up and down. Yeah, if not none at all, really. Every time she moves like her arm over, you can see it sort of, do the motion it's supposed to do. Let's wait for a good one to maybe try and frame by frame it, although the frame by frame hasn't been working too great in this full motion. Oh, there's a good one. Is it this last one? No, it was over to the left. That one? No, well, that's the last one, but that one does show it off really well. Look at that. Okay, you see how the torso does not look connected anymore when you're looking at the side-to-side motion. They full-on swing over there. Look at that. Especially those frames. Ready? Swing. And then recoil. The torso does it a little bit, but like, that's separate movement there. But yeah, it sort of further emphasizes the fact that up and down is not really happening the way it should. And this is my final point of emphasis. If none of that convinced you that it wasn't happening up and down, she's gonna slam her butt down on the bed, and that's gonna have a ton of shock force. Boom. See how the mask basically hits her chin and then goes back down? That's how much up and down force there is. We're gonna get some slow motion clips of that and zoomed in as well. Here we go. Okay, look how far up. First, just look how far up the mask goes. Actually, it doesn't go that far up, but it does. Frame by frame. little more. There we go. Look how high that is. Okay, second she hits. Oh wow, there's a lot of... Second she hits, the mask starts flying up. And then slams back down. Let's watch that in full motion. Fly up, back down. But if you notice, down on the chest, maybe a tiny bit, but really it's nothing. Let's go slow motion here, even slower. Okay, you can see the massive amount of mass movement there, even better. Right? And now we go back again. Sorry, focus on the chest this time. Nothing really. You actually can see a little bit of side to side movement there. But yeah, up and down. Maybe you want to add that in the game. I don't know. It doesn't matter that much, but God, I hate that this is going to be the longest section of the video. While I'm at it, actually, there was another thing I noticed in the character creator. And it's like, this is, if you look, you can see this is basically the default character. But I did look at the mass, the muscle mass and everything. And I think you should probably add... no, I think everyone else is going to be asking for like a boob slider. You don't really need one. But if you want to add one... Sorry, I've been avoiding saying poop this whole time, but I just let it out. Okay. Everyone else is going to be asking for like a specific slider for that. You don't really need to add one, but I think what would be very beneficial is having different sliders for the upper and lower bodies. That would sort of further, because like if you can do it all at once, maybe that does run into some issues with no, it shouldn't, because I was going to say maybe it does run into some issues with the armor, and like maybe it's only got settings for like, you know, if you're fully masked out, or if you're fully, what is the non-mask lean? I don't, but then again, it's like you can change your torso and your pants and everything separately, so that's probably not the case. So it would be good to, for the mass and muscle and stuff like that, sort of maybe get a little more detailed in that customization. I would think even you can add what's it called, like, yeah, just separate at the very least, just the upper and lower bodies can be separate, have separate sliders for the mass and muscle and everything. But if you really wanted to, you could even go like the extra mile and have one for chest, one for abs, one for legs, and one for arms. That would be perfect. I think that's literally all you could ever ask for. Chest, abs, legs, arms. That's all you ever really need in terms of Monster Hunter. I know Monster Hunter characters are supposed to all sort of be similar shapes, so that they can fit in the armor. But yeah, that is another thing you can probably add, a little more detailed muscle mass and slider customizations. But I mean, if you want to go the extra mile and add like a different slider for the boobs, you can go ahead and do that too. God. Hey, don't even limit it to the women. Like the guys can get stronger pecs, bigger pecs, and have that be a separate slider. You know, you can, if we're focusing on the chest for women, we can, or feminine bodies, we can do that for masculine as well. Yeah, and then, you know, last but not least, we're all for gender equality here. Let's give some jiggles to the guys on the chest. We're not doing Baldur's Gate. On the chest. because if you look at any like super, especially like with the more the higher muscle mass options, if you look at any guy that has that type of mass and you watch them move around with their shirt off, their chest jiggles a lot too. So we could add a tiny bit to guys. Maybe it's harder to implement because the shape is more spread out, but you know, maybe it's easier to implement because the shape is more spread out. You could add a tiny bit of jiggles to the guy models as well, because there are armors that sort of show off your chest a little better. And so if you're going to add it, might as well go all out with it. That's all. I really did not expect to talk about that section that long. But those are my settings that I would like to see. Hopefully I didn't ruin all my credibility of the video with that last section, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I'll be playing through World next if you're interested. Probably won't be doing any more of these types of videos until we get more information or another beta testing section opens up. But then eventually when the game comes out, I'll be doing some weapon tutorials. I don't know if I'm good at it or not, but you know, if I am, and people are able to get good, you know, a unique tutorial experience from me, then, because I love to yap, as you can tell. I love going in super detail with things, as you can. I don't even know how long it's going to be. I can't see the timer on my recording right now, but that Jiggle Physics section is going to be massive. Come on, what am I doing? Massive? Alright. But yeah, that's basically the way I would approach tutorials as well. I'll go as full into detail as possible, because I noticed a lot of people try and make their tutorial short. Like, I'll try to make them easy to follow along, but I want to aim for like having the longest tutorials in the entire Monster Hunter community. And just giving all my complete knowledge and input into those tutorials. And then even having like follow-up videos of you know, things I can link in those descriptions of things that I've like missed out on, that I've got in the comments. If there's enough to make a full sort of follow-up advanced guide. Maybe I'd even do just one beginner guide, one advanced guide, and the advanced guide has anything that like I may have missed on the first video. But yeah, this video is getting way too long now. That's all. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time if you decide to watch for... I'll be starting a World playthrough. I've never fully gone through World Iceborne, so I want to do that before Wilds releases. Thank you very much. Goodbye.